I think some of you are probably wondering why I'm analyzing this song, and there's one reason, and the reason is it's on the downward spiral. This is not one of my favorite songs, and I skipped it pretty much every time when I was growing up because I just didn't get it. As soon as he said, "I have a big gun," I was like, next. It just sounded like he was mocking himself, or somebody was mocking him, or he was mocking somebody. Somebody was being mocked. Yeah, it's pretty dark subject matter, and some people think that this is sort of like the lowest point of the protagonist, or like a turning point for him. If this does fit into the narrative, it seems like he's hit rock bottom in terms of ethics. So this song has a very like immature, satirical sound to me. The drums kind of sound like gunshots, everything's very distorted. The guitars are extremely distorted, lots of noise, and it just gets increasingly noisier until it basically is like a car crash. It just burns out really quick, and it's messy, and things just become so out of control. Some folks feel that it's really important for the narrative, and some folks feel that it's superfluous. Other people think that it should have just been removed from the album completely. We're going to talk about if there is any sort of musical merit here, and I think that there's a couple things that are sort of interesting. The bass line reminds me of another song on the downward spiral, so it could be a thematic callback. There's a very clear callback to another song on the album by way of the lyrics. There's a guitar riff that reminds me of a classic rock song. And then there is the timing. This song gives me the worst case of rhythmic displacement on, I think, the entire Nine Inch Nails discography. Have you ever struggled to feel the downbeat of this song? Because I still do. He had to know that this was going to cause confusion for people. Do you hear this song with the downbeats starting on the snare like this? It's very challenging for me to hear it with the snare on the downbeat, but I do think that that is the true downbeat. And there are some reasons why. Just pulling apart the multi-tracks, being able to hear where the arrangement changes happen, where things enter, like the hi-hats, and just how much syncopation would have to exist to make this work is really a big giveaway. But also, I do not want this is, that fooled me for years, and it seemed like everything was on an offbeat, and that should have clued me in. But instead I was like, well, it's jazzy. I had to create a little drum pattern to re-anchor me with the correct downbeat. I just think there's a lot of weird syncopation in this song that throws us off, like the 16th note offbeats being emphasized by the kick. And even in his vocal melody, I think that a lot of the time when we have the downbeat with the snares, his vocal rhythm makes a lot more sense, but there are still spots where it just sounds so strange and so offbeat. But you know what does make sense? Is "Nothing Can Stop Me Now." When we align the beat with the snares, then we get that actual rhythm. "Nothing can stop me now," which is just like "Nothing Can Stop Me Now" in Piggy. So that's another indicator to me that that is the true downbeat of the song. We heard it in Piggy. It was kind of this careless vibe. In Ruiner, kind of sounded like denial to me. And now it's full-blown delusion, I think, in this song. So what makes this song kind of more simple and straightforward than the others? I think it has a lot to do with the fact that it's a one-chord song all the way through. It's almost like the character is not evolving at all. And what scale? Blues, maybe? This reminds me of something very famous. In his vocal, he's mostly singing like the fourth to the major third, which we've been talking a lot about, that resolution. I am a big man. So that's really prevalent. But then he's like, da-da-da-da-da, and then that's like the minor third with the edge. So you notice I said blues, and there are a couple of reasons for that. And one is that the bass line actually has a flat 5 in it, or the tritone of the scale, which we've talked about in other videos. But check this out. It's rhythmically the same, I believe, or extremely similar. But there are just some differences in the notes, but I mean, it's hard for me to not imagine that that wasn't an intentional thematic connection. Approximately. I think it's doing a little bit of noodling. Also, the harmony on Shoot is slightly interesting because it reminds me of Help Me from Closer. As far as I can tell, the harmonies that he's singing here on Shoot is the flat 3 of the scale up here in his falsetto, and then the flat 7, which is the D, one of his favorite scale degrees. This is our tonic. It's giving me the flavor of an E minor 7th chord, like inverted and with missing notes. Sounds pretty bluesy to me. Maybe not bluesy, maybe jazzy or just something. Basically, I think I would like this song a lot more if I just thought of it as a blues rock song and like could feel it in that slower halftime groove and also just completely ignore the lyrics. And this sort of like outro, I do kind of like it because it gets like really, really noisy. It feels like a total loss of control. And there's this sort of like, I don't know, March of the Pigs and Piggy solo kind of drum track that comes in. It's very muted and it's kind of buried in the mix, but it was pretty cool to hear that pulled out. And it's got cymbal crashes, which are telling us where 1 is. Usually the cymbal crashes are on 1. Usually. And just as quickly as this song starts, it ends and glitches and brings us to a very, very different place. Do you think it fits in the narrative? Doesn't fit? Should have been yanked out? Seems to be very polarizing, I would say. So I'm curious to hear your thoughts. But be respectful, because we are not big men with guns here. Right?